Hello, everyone. Welcome to 2D Board Gamers. My name is Dave. Today, I want to take a second look at the upcoming hero Wonder Man. Wonder Man is coming in February alongside with Hercules, and Wonder Man is the 7th hero that has unique deck building. What he can do is you may include events with a printed energy resource icon from any aspect in your deck. So this video will be the aggression events that can be added to a Wonder Man deck no matter what aspect you're playing. And then there'll be a video for the different aspects as well. So this will be a series of 4 videos, one for each of the main aspects. But first, let's do a quick review of Wonder Man. So we already went over his alter ego, which is the deck building. On his hero side, Wonder Man gets +1 attack for each card tucked under Ionic Physiology. And after Wonder Man makes a basic attack, you discard each card under Ionic Physiology. But how Ionic Physiology works is when you play an event with a printed energy, you may tuck that event from your discard pile under this card, and you get to heal 1 damage, which then fuels his hero ability. All right. So let's take a look at the events. All right, we're going to start with aggression. So the first card we have is Bring It. It costs 0, max 1 per phase. Hero action, draw 1 card for each minion engaged with you. Now, of course, if you're playing aggression, you're going to have a lot of minions, but even if you're not playing aggression, if you hit minions, this gives you card draw, which is great, but more importantly, it's cheap because it costs 0, and you can put it under Ionic Physiology, which then, of course, fuels your basic attack. So this is a very nice card to add. So the first card is Bring It. The next card is You'll Pay for That. It's a thwart event. After the villain attacks you, remove 1 threat from a scheme for each damage you took from that attack to a maximum of 5. So now I can see this if you're playing Wonder Man Protection, and when the villain activates against you, then you can play this card to remove some threat, and then on top of that, it goes onto Ionic Physiology. So that's pretty good. Next is Bombs Away. It costs 2, aerial tactic, hero action, exhaust an aerial character you control, and choose a player. Deal 3 damage to the villain and each minion engage with that player. Now, you are aerial, so you could exhaust yourself, although I think it would be better to exhaust an ally. But this is a nice way to do a bunch of damage. And since you have the aerial trait as Wonder Man, you could use Def Focus to make this card a little cheaper. So between Def Focus and Martial Prowess, you could pay for this card and then tuck it under Ionic Physiology. So that is my thoughts on Bombs Away. Next is Combine Forces. It costs 1. It's an alliance card. Hero action, exhaust an X-Force character and an X-Men character to defeat a non-elite minion. Now, you would actually have to have some X-Force and X-Men allies to play this efficiently, or if you're playing multiplayer, have the other players help pay for this. But this gets rid of an annoying minion, but more importantly, it's a cheap card to put under Ionic Physiology. But you would have to have some X-Force and X-Men characters. This would require a little bit more deck construction thought ahead of time. So most likely this would be a card I would not use with Wonder Man, but it does not prevent you from using it. Next is Get Over Here. It costs 0. It's an attack. Hero action attack. Deal 1 damage to a minion. If you have the aerial trait, engage that enemy. You do have the aerial trait, so you would engage the minion if the 1 point of damage does not defeat the minion. So you will have the damaged minion engage with you, which could be nice in multiplayer. If they're kind of overwhelmed with minions, you can take 1 off their hand. But more importantly, it's a 0-cost card that can get tucked under Ionic Physiology, which then, of course, you turn around and do a basic attack, and you would get the +1 for having Get Over Here on Ionic Physiology to finish off the minion. Next, we have Into the Fray. It costs 3. It's an attack. hero action attack, deal 6 damage to a minion. For each point of excess damage dealt by this attack, remove 1 threat from the main scheme. So now, of course, this card is nice because you can finish off a minion, and any overkill will will remove threat. So that's pretty nice. And then you could tuck this under Ionic Physiology and gives you an extra +1 for a basic attack. So it's a little spinnier card, but hey, it might just do the job that you need. So that is Into the Fray. Next is Moment of Triumph. It's a 0-cost event. After you attack and defeat an enemy, heal 1 damage from your hero for each point of excess damage dealt to the enemy by that attack. So again, this is a nice cheap one to put under Ionic Physiology, which will give you +1 to your basic attack. Also, you get to heal 1 as well when you put it under Ionic Physiology, so you get to heal 1 more than what you would have had excess against the enemy from Moment of Triumph. So that's a really good card. It's cheap and it gives you some healing. Next, we have 1 by 1. It's a 1-cost event. Hero action attack, deal 2 damage to an enemy. If this attack defeats that enemy, deal 2 damage to an enemy. Now, 1 by 1 has a nice to kind of, poke a little bit of damage to some enemies or knock some toughs off, but also it's cheap to put under Ionic Physiology. So this is another really good choice, 1 by 1. Next is Relentless Assault. It costs 2. It's an attack. Hero action, attack. Deal 5 damage to a minion. If you paid for this card using a strength resource, the attack gains overkill. Now, you probably are going to have some strength cards in your deck, but if you went like strict energy, then this card may not be so good. If you happen to be playing aggression, of course, then you might have a martial prowess in your deck, which then, of course, would generate the strength. But even if you don't get the overkill bonus, this is a nice, cheap card that you can put under Ionic Physiology. Next is Spoiling for a Fight. It costs 0. Hero action. Discard cards from the top of your encounter deck until you discard a minion. Put that minion into play, engage with you, ready your hero. Now, this card's got a few things going for it. 1, costs 0, so that's great to put, and you get to put it under Ionic Physiology. And you get to ready your hero so that you can immediately do your basic attack with the +1 that you got from Spoiling for a Fight on the minion that you just pulled. So that is really good for Wonderman, I think. Next is Take That. It costs 3. It's an attack. Hero action attack. Deals 7 damage to an enemy with an upgrade attached. Now, this card would require a little bit of work. You would have to have some upgrades in your deck or teamed up with someone who puts upgrades like Cyclops or Iceman or Nightcrawler and kind of coordinate with another player so that you can do this attack. Otherwise, this might be a card that I would skip. If you're playing aggression, okay, maybe, but I think there are some better choices. But, it's still a viable choice. So that's Take That. Next, this requires some coordination in multiplayer. Another player would have to make you an honorary X-Men before you can play this card. Team Strike, cost 1. Play only if your identity has the X-Men trait. Hero action attack. Exhaust your hero and any number of X-Men allies. Deal X damage among enemies in play, where X is the total attack of characters you exhausted this way. Now, this is not a card I would probably do because A, it requires someone to make you an X-Men, and B, you would have to have a bunch of X-Men allies in your deck to make it worthwhile. But it is a valid option. Next is a card that you cannot play, but it's here because if you do a search for energy cards with events, this would show up, but you would have to be psionic traded to play this card. So this is Psychic Assault. Hero action, deal 3 damage to an enemy, confuse that enemy. But like I said, this is a card that you cannot play. All right, so that was the aggression energy events that you can add to a Wonderman deck. I'm really looking forward to Wonderman, and there's quite a few events. So, like I said, this is the first of 4 videos we'll do of the 4 main aspects. Pool will get added to Justice because Justice doesn't have as many. But, anyways, thank you for watching, everyone. Please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. Thank you.